Have you ever walked into your own life and felt like a stranger? You do everything for everyone. You hold space for their storms. You silence your own needs so that others can speak. You play strong, even when your soul is collapsing in silence. But one day, in the quiet of a morning or in the ache after another sleepless night, something shifts. A question rises. What about me? And it doesn't come from selfishness. It comes from exhaustion. From years, maybe decades, of putting yourself last. From the deep, aching knowledge that life is slipping through your fingers, and you haven't really lived your life. Yet Carl Jung once said, prioritizing yourself is not selfishness. It's the beginning of true healing. This is not just a quote, it's a call, a door opening. And if you've ever felt invisible in your own life, if you've ever whispered, I can't keep living like this, then this video is for you. There wasn't a single moment. It happened slowly, quietly. You stopped choosing yourself one small decision at a time, the job you stayed in because it was secure, even though it drained your soul. The conversations you didn't have because you didn't want to upset anyone. The weekends that weren't yours anymore. Always someone else's needs, someone else's plans. The times you were exhausted but said yes anyway, just to keep the peace. You told yourself it was love, that you were being kind, that one day it would be your turn, but that turn never came. And now here you are, so good at showing up for others that you forgot how to show up for yourself. This is not weakness, this is what we were taught, especially those of us who grew up being the emotional caretaker, the peacekeeper, the one who held it all together. You were rewarded for disappearing. You were told it was noble, but deep down a quiet grief has grown, a grief for the parts of you that you left behind, for the art you never made, for the truths you never spoke, for the joy you postponed. Again and again, this chapter is not to blame you, it's to help you see that healing begins not with guilt, but with awareness. Ask yourself gently, when did I stop choosing myself? What parts of me have gone silent? What would I say if I knew no one would be disappointed? You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to listen to the voice you've ignored for too long. And now, we begin. Since childhood, many of us were taught the same dangerous lie. Thinking of yourself is selfish, so you became the reliable one. The peacemaker, the one who never asks for much, the one who's always fine. But let me ask you something. From one soul to another, who benefits from you believing that your needs don't matter? It wasn't just your parents, it was school, church, society. Messages soaked into your skin before you even had words for them. Be a good girl. Be a strong man. Don't complain. Others have it worse. Put others first, always. We romanticize self-sacrifice. We glorify burnout. We admire those who give everything until there's nothing left of them. And then what? We call them selfless, as if erasing yourself was a virtue. But here's the truth, the one they never told you. Selflessness can become soullessness. You are not here to abandon yourself for the comfort of others. You are not here to earn love by disappearing. When did goodness start meaning silence, exhaustion, and emotional starvation? You can still be kind, still be generous, still love deeply, but not at the cost of your own aliveness. Let's be honest. What's the point of being good if it slowly kills your spirit? Real goodness doesn't come from self-erasure. It comes from wholeness, from showing up as someone who is full, not someone who is empty and bitter. Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and you cannot become that if you're constantly hiding, shrinking, or numbing. The myth of selfishness is a tool of control. Your healing begins when you no longer apologize for existing, and the world needs more healed people, not more obedient ones. There is a moment, maybe you've lived it, when your body starts speaking the truth your mouth never dared to say. The migraines, the insomnia, the fatigue that no amount of rest can fix, the tightness in your chest every time you say yes, when you meant no. You try to push through, you tell yourself it's just stress, just a phase, but deep down, you know, something inside you is breaking, because the soul has limits. And when you spend years silencing it, it doesn't disappear and it turns inward. Anxiety, depression, emptiness. Your inner world begins to collapse under the weight of all the things you denied, suppressed, postponed. This isn't weakness. This isn't failure. This is what happens when a human being is asked to survive without being themselves. How many people do you know, maybe including yourself, who had to hit rock bottom before giving themselves permission to live differently? The heart attack that changed everything. The divorce that cracked them open. The burnout that made them walk away from a life that looked perfect on the outside, but was suffocating on the inside. This is the price of self-abandonment. It doesn't just steal your joy. It steals your health, your clarity, your connection to life, and no one sees it because you're still smiling, still showing up, still pretending everything is fine. But you know the truth, and it's this: your soul will not let you fake it forever. At some point, your healing becomes a matter of survival, not just emotional, but physical, spiritual, existential. And the first step? To stop betraying yourself in the name of being good. You've paid enough. Now it's time to reclaim what was lost. You finally say no, you cancel the plan, you choose rest over obligation. And suddenly there it is, guilt, that heavy, choking feeling in your chest. The whisper, you're being selfish. The fear, they'll think you don't care. But let's ask the deeper question. Why does it feel wrong to take care of yourself? Where did we learn that our needs are a burden? That rest must be earned? That love has to be proven by exhaustion? This isn't just behavior, it's a wound. And for many of us, it began in childhood. Maybe you had to be the strong one. Maybe love came with conditions. Maybe your worth was tied to performance, obedience, or making others happy. So you adapted. You became the helper, the overachiever, the pleaser. You learn to survive by disappearing. But here's the tragedy. When we learn to earn love, we forget that we are worthy of it simply by being. And this wound, this sense of, I don't deserve to rest, to say no, to be seen, follows us like a shadow. Even when you start healing, even when you begin to choose yourself, guilt shows up like an old friend, trying to pull you back into the old story. But guilt is not always a sign that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes, guilt is a sign that you're doing something new, that you're breaking cycles, that you're no longer abandoning yourself to belong, that you're finally choosing wholeness over approval. Let that guilt come, look it in the eye, and tell it gently. I see you, I know you came from the past, but I don't need you to guide me anymore. You are not selfish for honoring your limits. You are not bad for needing space. You're not unlovable because you're human. This chapter is not just about guilt. It's about learning to stay with yourself even when the old programming screams at you to run, because healing doesn't mean the guilt disappears. It means you no longer let it define you. Carl Jung didn't speak of healing as a quick fix. He spoke of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are, and that journey starts the moment you stop living by other people's scripts. Choosing yourself is not a luxury. It is not indulgence, it is a sacred act. Because when you begin to listen to your inner voice, when the one you've silenced for years, you begin to return home to your soul. Jung called this the path to the self, the deep, authentic center of your being, not the roles you play, not the persona you show the world, but the core of you, raw, real, whole. Most people live disconnected from that self. They live by patterns they inherited, by traumas they never healed, by expectations that don't belong to them. But the call of the self is relentless. It comes through restlessness, through quiet dissatisfaction, through the haunting feeling that there must be more to life than this. And there is, but you cannot reach it while betraying yourself. You cannot touch your soul while performing someone else's version of who you're supposed to be. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Why terrifying? Because it means shedding the masks, letting go of false peace, facing the truth that you have abandoned yourself, and now you are ready to return. This is sacred work, not dramatic, not loud, but sacred. Every time you say, "I need space. That doesn't feel right for me. I'm not going to shrink to make others comfortable," you are practicing inner alignment. You are walking the path of the self, one boundary, one truth, one breath at a time, and that, Jung would say, is the beginning of true healing. You don't have to burn your life down to come home to yourself. You don't need to move to another country, cut everyone off, or quit everything. You just need to start saying yes to yourself, one honest choice at a time. But let's be real. When you've spent decades prioritizing others, even the smallest yes to yourself can feel like betrayal. That's okay. It's supposed to feel strange at first, like wearing new shoes that haven't molded to your steps yet. But that discomfort, it's a sign that you're growing. So, how do you begin? Start small, but start honestly. Don't wait for the big moment. Begin with micro decisions. What do I want to eat? Do I really want to go to this event? Can I give myself permission to rest just tonight? These small yeses, they add up. They become your voice, your strength, your rhythm. Create sacred time for yourself. Not just me, time, but time to listen, without distractions. Journaling, walking, sitting in silence. Ask, what have I been ignoring inside me? The answers may come quietly, but they will come. Speak one truth you've been avoiding. Maybe it's to a friend, a partner, or to yourself. Truth is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Even a whisper matters. Replace guilt with gratitude. When guilt arises, and it will, thank it. It was there to protect you once. Then release it. And say, I am allowed to choose myself and still be a good person, because you are. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Some days you'll fall back into old habits. That's not failure. That's the dance of change. Be kind to yourself. Every yes to your truth is a seed. It may not bloom overnight, but it will root, and soon your inner world will feel like yours again. You don't need permission to begin. You only need to believe that your life is worth returning to because it is. Let's tell the truth that most people won't say. Not everyone will celebrate your healing. In fact, some of the people closest to you, the ones who benefited from your silence, your compliance, your constant availability, may feel threatened. When you begin to change, suddenly you're setting boundaries, you're saying no, you're speaking up. You're not shrinking anymore. And they don't know what to do with that, because the version of you that they got used to is dissolving. The version that kept the peace, made things easy, didn't ask for much. She's gone. Or maybe he's waking up, and your awakening might trigger their insecurity, their fear, their control. They may say, you've changed. You're distant. You used to be so easygoing. You're making everything about you now. But here's the deeper truth. You're not changing, you're returning to who you were before the world told you to be small. And yes, it can feel lonely at first, because when you stop betraying yourself, you may lose people who are only connected to your compliance, not your truth. But hear this. The cost of staying silent just to keep people comfortable is your soul, and that's too high a price. Growth is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like quietly walking away from dynamics that no longer honor your becoming. Sometimes it means standing in front of people you love and choosing not to lie anymore, not even with a smile. It will hurt, but it will also heal, because on the other side of discomfort is alignment. And on the other side of loss is space for relationships that see you, honor you, walk with you, not over you. You don't have to be cruel, but you do have to be clear. This is not rebellion. This is reclamation. Your healing will challenge others, but that's not your burden to carry. Your only responsibility is to keep coming home to yourself. There comes a moment, quiet, sacred, when you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. Not your worth, not your goodness, not your strength. You simply are. And that moment, when it finally arrives, doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like peace. The war inside you begins to end. You no longer chase love, and you become it. You no longer fear solitude. You cherish it. You no longer beg for belonging. You create it from within. This is what true healing looks like. Not perfection, not becoming someone else, but returning to the version of you that was always there. Underneath the masks, the roles, the survival, the child who laughed freely, the teenager who dreamed wildly, the adult who quietly longed for more. You meet them again, not with shame, but with reverence. You take them by the hand and say, I see you, I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again. There is no map for this, no final destination, only the daily courageous choice to stay connected to your truth, to honor your rhythms, to forgive yourself for the years you abandoned your soul just to belong, to create a life where you feel safe inside your own heart. It's not too late, not at 40, not at 50, not at 65. You are right on time. True healing isn't about becoming new. It's about becoming real. And when you finally sit with yourself, no masks, no roles, no noise, you may realize something that changes everything. You were never broken, just buried. And now, you're rising.